I always call it Mikkeller.
Mikkeller.
That's what I say, but I don't know if that's
We've
right.
done these guys before, yeah?
I don't think so.
Mikkeller.
Yeah.
Maybe I've just had some of their beers
Maybe you
before.
have.
It's possible.
I'm going to go with Mikkeller.
All right, that's what I would do.
He says Mikkeller.
Who does?
Seidner.
Well, he was actually there.
He was actually there. That's
Why
true.
don't one of you say Mikkeller and the other say Mikkeller?
I'll bite the bullet and take Mikkeller.
There you go.
Sounds like Michelob.
Michelob.
Inspired by the adventures of our nurses, therapists, and techs, A Beer with Atlas is the only healthcare traveling, craft beer drinking podcast. Each week, we'll open a few beers, talk about the brewery and the style of beer, and then dive into some research curated specifically for each episode. In the end, we hope each one sounds like a conversation you'd have with your friends while enjoying a few cold ones.
Welcome to another episode of A Beer with Atlas. I'm Rich.
I'm Bjorn.
Bjorn? All right.
That's what my name would be in Denmark.
Okay.
Bjorn, I'm Dern.
All right. Bjorn Dern. Why? Okay, tell me why, Brian. Tell me why. Why? Where? What?
Because we're
what beer
drinking
do we
a
have?
beer. It's called Mikkeller.
Mikkeller.
Okay.
Either one. Okay.
Coffee. And
Yep.
they're from Denmark, which is where my family's from, Denmark.
You have some Denmark roots.
Yeah. Anything with an S-E-N generally is Scandinavian. So my last name is Peterson, and it's P-E-D-E-R-S-E-N. So when you get the S-E-N, that's usually Scandinavian. Denmark for us specifically.
Okay.
So it's Denmark. That's where they're originally from?
Yes.
Okay.
The guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have locations in the United States.
I was
They
going to
have-
say the brewery's in San Diego.
I think his name is Michael.
Yes.
Is that right? Is that why it's...
I don't know.
Should we say Michaeller?
I have Mikkel, Mikkel, Bjergso.
Yeah, Bjorgzo.
Bjergso.
Yeah, of course.
He was a high school teacher and a journalist friend,
Yeah.
Christian Klarup Keller.
Yep.
So it's
So they joined
first
them
name,
together.
Last name, Mikkeller.
Hmm.
So there you go.
This was one of the very first craft breweries that I would go and do like bootlegging from Council Bluffs. Oh. And I would make sure I would get some of their beers. Because back in the day, when I first got into the craft beer, they were actually selling bombers and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of their beers were. They were no 4-packs. It was like a bottle, or that was all you could get.
Yeah.
And this was also probably the very first time I ever heard about, like, I don't know what the term of it is. They used to call it like gypsy brewing, but we can't say that anymore. But it's
Right.
like they go to different brewery to brewery to brewery.
Yeah,
at least in the
we've-
United States. Contract brewing basically is what it is, right?
Yeah, we've talked about this a couple times.
We have.
We've had a couple
Other breweries will do that.
Yeah.
And this is the very first one I ever heard of, because it was weird because they were from Europe or
Yeah.
like over the ocean, right? So they made some beers there. And when they came over here, they did that sort of contract thing. And that was the first time I'd ever heard it. Like, what? You mean you could be somewhere else and make your beer the same beer at a
You don't
different
have a
place?
tap room? Or?
Yeah. So that was weird to me.
I mean, if you've got a whole rig set up and somebody else makes really good beer, but
Yeah.
just doesn't have a place, or
Yep.
why not?
Why not?
That's
Why
a
not?
win-win for everybody, right?
I did have something on that. Founded in 2006 in Copenhagen, Denmark. That was originally based on the so-called. This is the right off of Wikipedia.
Okay.
So somebody wrote this. The name, it was originally based microbrewing. I'm sorry, based off of the so-called cuckoo, phantom, or gypsy ethos in brewing.
Yeah.
I thought cuckoo was interesting. Phantom brewery, gypsy brewing,
I guess it's because it's here and then it's gone.
Maybe.
Cuckoo, like a cuckoo clock.
maybe
Pops out and then it's gone. You know what I mean? It's like
I
here and then it's
gotcha.
away and then it's
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
Yep. Did not operate a official brewery. Instead, collaborated with other brewers to produce recipes and experimental one-off brews until 2016, when they opened their first brewery in San Diego. So why San Diego? I don't
know. I have been to Mikkeller or whatever we're going to say, tap room in San Francisco.
Okay.
And it was weird because it was one of those, it was like a neighborhood that was kind of rough. Like I was like a little worried about walking there from the it was like a trolley, I guess is what I took because I was in San Francisco. Ooh, that's bitter, isn't it? That's bitter.
I will say, I've done some experimenting in my life.
Oh,
And
college days. Okay.
I really feel like it's when you wake up after you smoked a cigarette the night before.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
It's smoked. It's a smoked beer.
Is it really?
It kind of tastes like an
Is it
ashtray.
just so roasty?
Take it. It's very roasty. Take a
You
drink.
know why?
It's really bitter.
All right.
That's for sure.
Oh man.
I don't know if that's
Here's
for
why.
me.
Okay.
25% of the grain bill, the entire thing is oats,
Okay.
which is more than normal. Like
Yeah.
a lot more than normal. So maybe that's what we're getting.
Maybe.
It just, to me, it tastes like a real roasty, smoky coffee. I like it.
It's
You know what would go good with this? Bacon. If you got a piece of crispy cooked bacon and you set it in there,
Set it in there.
oh, that would be so good. A little salt.
I mean, the
with
beer.
that.
It's called breakfast.
yeah,
Right.
it is.
It's
what's
called
what's it
breakfast.
called? Beer Geek.
Beer Geek. I mean, this guy has a pack of cigarettes in his pocket.
Yeah.
I mean,
he's got
he's
some
Belgian.
smokes.
What are you going to do? Or Denmark. He's Danish.
He's
Gotta have your
Danish.
smokes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll keep sipping on it. I'll let it warm up a
Okay.
little bit, and we'll see where we are at the end.
Well, unsurprisingly, I like it.
Oh, boy.
I like everything, but
Yeah.
whatever.
I say I'll drink anything, and
You've met your limit.
oh boy,
A couple times. This is probably the third time on this podcast.
I think
Well,
so.
I hope you don't drink it all because
Yeah.
I'll drink yours. Anyway, Beer Geek. This is one of their, it's like a repeating theme with these guys. So they always come up with different flavors. So like when we did the darkness a couple of weeks back.
yeah.
They had all those different flavor things.
Yep.
They do something similar with this. But it's not nearly to the extent of like the crazy extracty stuff that we see in
Sure.
America, right?
Yep.
So what I could find for them currently for these, they've made. They don't have these all the time. It's kind of like every year something different.
Mm-hmm.
They have a vanilla shake barrel aged version.
Interesting.
So it's just straight up vanilla beans in a barrel, whiskey barrel.
Right.
They have one that's called a cocoa shake, which is just straight chocolate.
Are they using lactose sugar in this?
They
Is
are
that
on
okay?
some of those. This one, next one up, is called vanilla maple cocoa.
Okay.
So kind of like another breakfast beer. Basically, you got vanilla and pancake syrup and
yeah.
chocolate.
Yeah.
And then maybe like on a chocolate chip pancake or something.
Yeah.
With maybe some. You ever had fluff?
Yes.
Like Oreo fluff?
Well, just like in a can,
Just
like
like-
a jar, like in a
yeah.
glass jar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
marshmallow.
would you
Would that
bake
be
the-
good on a pancake?
It could
Oh
be.
yeah, hell yeah! Have you ever had a what's a fluffy nutter?
Fluffernutter,
Yeah.
Fluffernutter,
A lot of stouts
yeah.
are that way, or
Yeah.
fluffagus or whatever.
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm guessing it's something like that.
Yep.
And then the other one they have is vanilla maple. And then the coffee,
the coffee
obviously
one.
what we've got. They also make at this place mead,
Okay.
which is honey based and fruit and high ABV, also high cost because it's labor intensive. And they make wine and also spirits. So they're making everything there.
Okay.
Merchandise. Of course, I had to go there because I was the website.
Merchandise.
What did I write down? Things I've never seen before. They had a board game. They have their own game.
A board game?
Yes. It was kind of like almost looked like Monopoly, but in a circle.
Okay.
And they had a board game. Mikkeller.
Weird.
They had a puzzle, 500-piece puzzle, which I've never seen,
Ah.
which was kind of cool.
That's cool.
An iPhone case
Nice.
with their two main logo people on there, which I found out their names.
Okay.
And
The cartoony people?
Uh-huh. If I can
Oh.
find their... Oh, Henry and Sally. That's their names.
Okay.
And then they had... This was not your show. I don't know if it was Dolan's show, but Game of Thrones. They had Game of Thrones branded stuff because they were like... They made a deal with HBO, I guess. So they had Game of Thrones shirts and Game of Thrones beers.
Interesting.
So like you could go to the store probably today. I don't know about today, but last year for sure.
Yeah.
And get like House of the Dragon, whatever.
Whatever.
We've done Game of Thrones on the episode.
We have.
By Oma Gang.
Oma Gang had
But that-
those
yeah, that
beers.
was Oma Gang.
That's right.
So this is their European, I guess, version of that.
Okay.
Last week, maybe, or sometime recently, we had Mr. Steven Seitner in, and he went to this place
Yes, he did.
in Copenhagen. They have a tap room brewery sort of situation that's co-owned, co-ran with War Pigs,
Yes.
and that's what it's called, War Pigs Mikkeller. And out of that in Copenhagen, they run multiple clubs. And I thought, okay, this is interesting. One of not like those kind. You're thinking European, which makes sense. They have a running club.
Oh.
They have a cycling club.
Okay.
And they have a beer club, like most places in America.
Of course.
So the beer club, for them, it was interesting. What I could find on the research was it didn't make sense to me financially. You pay $500, it's a DKK, so maybe that's Denmark something money, I don't know, crowns. That's how much it costs. But the value was more than you paid. So it was always 600 to 900 DKK.
Okay.
You pay 500. And it was very random on what you would get, and when you would get it, they would just send you stuff. It wasn't like every the second of the month you get this allotment.
Yeah.
But you'd make money somehow by buying this club. Like, I don't know how you finance that if what you're giving for the money is worth more than what you get. You know, does that make sense, what I'm saying?
That's interesting.
There's got to be something else.
There's got to be a catch, right?
There's got to be something else.
Look at us. There's got to be a catch.
There's got to be.
So this running club that they run, they have their own Facebook page, and I went to it and I looked around. They run marathons or half marathons all around the world. Because I think Mikkeller is kind of like a global brand, but craft beer. It's not like Carlsbad or Berg or whatever that one is, or some of those beers that you see. They have tap rooms or locations. You can get their beer all around the world, and they run these marathons all around the world. So their most recent one was in December, and did I write it down? Angkor Wat is where they ran it. You ever heard of Angkor Wat?
I have, yeah.
It's in Cambodia.
Yeah.
It's the largest freestanding temple in the world. And they ran a half marathon there.
Wow.
And people from Copenhagen, from the beer club, went there as a trip, as a group.
Wow.
And ran this half marathon. And that's just what they do.
That's super cool.
So very, very European, I think, in that way. They had running club, tons of clothes. So their merchandise was all very athletic wear. But unlike in America where it's athleisure stuff, you're like, oh, I'm comfy. This is like a weird hat to keep the sweat out of your face as you're running 36 miles through the jungle in Cambodia.
Yeah.
Like that sort of like, it's active wear.
Or like the cycling shirt that's really tight.
They had those. They had running vests. They had all that sort of stuff. Like 100 things for very active stuff for their clubs that they run through.
Interesting.
And that race that just ran, that was the most recent one, was in 12/22. So December right at the end. But they have all sorts of stuff. The other thing they had, and I wrote this down because we've talked about them last year. We were in this pool. Non-alcohol.
They
Nice.
have NA beers?
They have a bunch of different NA stuff.
Really?
And it was so much that they have a box that you can buy if you're in Europe, I think. And they have all sorts of different flavors, I guess we'll say, or styles of beer. So I wrote those down, and I'm going to hit you with them.
Okay.
One of them is called Shallow Passion Pool. And they said it's a desert pool party beer with passion fruit. 0% alcohol.
Interesting.
Henry Goes Lightly. They say this is for post-workout. So it's like a Gatorade.
Nice.
Because
Okay,
it's
yeah.
salty.
Yeah.
You're replenishing some of those things.
Yeah.
No alcohol. Good flavor. It's like a health drink almost.
Does it have electrolytes?
I've seen beers with those,
Right.
but
Yeah.
I don't think this one did. They had one called Limbo Riesling, which has fresh grape and sour notes, 0%.
Nice.
Weird Weather. Now, this one was interesting to me because I think our definition of IPA is different than European, right?
Sure.
So this says floral and bitter. So right off the bat, I'm thinking, ooh, like a bitter saison.
Yeah.
Right.
And it says it's New England style IPA. And I was like, no, it's not.
Nah.
Then the notes say, well, you're going to have a grassy note at the end, and you'll get some pine. I'm like, okay, that is not a New England.
No.
That's a West Coast IPA.
Yeah.
But
Or
okay,
mountain
whatever.
style IPA.
And that's in a pint can, so a 16-ounce can. That's all it was.
Okay.
That was me. Drinking the Show.
Drinking the Show.
Yeah. So this is not a 0, but it's low, like a session, lower than maybe like 2.5%.
Okay.
Oh, nice.
Winter Ale.
Oh.
So we're talking those like dried fruit flavors. It says red apples, caramel, and it's got some bitterness to it. So like
Interesting.
the opposite of a winter warmer, usually we're talking, 8, 9, 10%.
Yeah.
Their version is like, 2%.
Well, I wonder if that's like what it was. Like they had a high alcohol beer, and they're like, let's make it NA, and then they just couldn't do it all the way. And
Couldn't, yeah.
Or maybe in Europe, NA is 2%.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? Like it's like, oh, you're not going to feel this.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true. I mean, so we did NA last year, right? We had a
Right.
string of those, and we were like, oh man, the NA market's pretty big, and they, they have whole sections of it now. It's gotten even
bigger this year.
Even bigger.
I looked at it
Oh
this
my
year.
gosh.
Yeah. It's probably doubled
Yeah.
in size of
Are
what
we
you can
gonna-
buy.
Are we going to talk about it a little bit or no?
No.
Because I just noticed, like, going to the grocery store, it's like, what? They have an
Yeah.
NA now?
Yep.
They have an NA now? The bars around here, like, bars that I've been to for a while now, and they're like, hey, guys, guess what? We have a whole cooler full of NAs, and, like, that's their selling point.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. So
during dry January, over at Cunningham's, the Atlas Bar here, right close to the office, Joel had a number of those athletic beers,
Those
the
are good.
NA beers that we did on the podcast.
Yeah.
Derek's been carrying them over there, and he says they sell fantastic.
Oh, they should. I mean, I've had a couple of them over there too. Just
They taste great.
Busy days, but I want a beer.
The
but-
flavor of a
Yeah.
beer, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun. It's kind of cool to see how it's evolved. Because it used to just be like Old Milwaukee, NA, and that's what you were getting.
Yeah.
Or Sharps or whatever.
Sharps.
Or like the Bush
O'Doul's.
NA. Have you ever?
No.
Gross.
So
Rough.
these people are putting some time into it.
Yeah.
And that's what these guys are doing. And the last one they had is Drink in the Sun. So it's a wheat beer.
Oh, okay.
Bright and hop bursting wheat.
That sounds like a good a wheat beer name anyway.
And then they put them in a box. You get a glass similar to this, like a Pilsner style. And it's got Henry and Sally on it, the male and female logos that they kind of have. They have their own style, I would say.
Oh, definitely.
And those all come in a box. You buy it, and it was whatever X price in England or Europe, wherever you're at, Iceland or, wherever you're shipping it to over there.
Interesting.
But they didn't send it here. And as far as the spirits go, they make their own booze or they contract it out.
Okay.
Gin, big gin. Europe is a big gin continent.
That's what Seitner said when he was over there. He's like, you would be surprised, like how gin was prevalent just everywhere.
I mean, Bombay gin, right? That's an old school brand.
Yeah.
Like there's a bunch of them, and they're 300, 400, 500-year-old.
Is it because the
companies that make.
junipers grow more over there?
I think
or-
so.
Maybe.
And it's just a bitterness that they didn't have
Probably.
from hops because the climate's not right. They make a black rum, which is very similar to in looks to a spiced rum.
Okay.
They have this other thing that they make that I wrote down because they just call it black. And they distill their flagship beer that's called black.
Interesting.
Which their black is a stout. It's a super strong stout, 17.5%.
Wowzer.
And they're just like, you know what we're going to do? Pour it, and we're going to distill it. And that's what they do, which I've never heard of. Distilling
No.
straight. You're starting with a beer
Yeah.
and distilling it down.
Wow.
And that's what they do with that. And it's turn it into a whiskey.
I bet that's super interesting.
I bet so. And then they had this other thing called koji, Koji. And it's like a barley spirit. But it looked like it was mostly from like Iceland and those areas.
Okay.
It's clear. It looks like vodka. And they make it there, and there's different like some fruit, herbal kind of tones to them.
Yep.
But it's real clear. It's like a vodka sort of thing.
Okay.
And that's one of their big sellers, it said.
Wow.
So that's what I have for us on those guys.
A beer spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am changing my outlook on this beer as we drink it. I don't necessarily love it per se, but
Yeah.
I'm starting to get the coffee notes more than I did right off the bat.
Okay.
I'm thinking of it more like a. This might sound bad to some people, but I know some people who like their coffee this way. I think of it as like a cold brew, but it had been sitting in the coffee machine for a little bit too long, so it kind of like not soured up, but it's got that like metallic,
Okay.
yeah,
Kind of bittered up.
ashy, yeah,
Campfire.
yeah.
Yeah. Rich is not. He's
It's
not doing
it's
it.
not for me.
Man.
I tried. It's not for me. Here's where I know, like, okay, my palate just doesn't. It's not that it's not a bad beer at all.
Yeah.
It's definitely. It's just not for me. In late 2006, an experimental beer called Beer Geek Breakfast
Okay.
garnered fame for the company when it won the stout category of an international beer voting event in
Wow.
Denmark.
Okay. International. So we're
International.
worldwide.
So
Okay.
international beers, and it won that category. It won the stout category. So it's not a bad beer. It's just not for me.
To me, it has the body like a porter. It's a little
A little
thin.
bit. It's a little thin. Yeah.
But it has a nice, like the I don't know, head retention is nice on there. It's got good color. I mean, it definitely looks like a stout. It looks like
I was gonna say
straight
it's
up cup
dark.
of coffee,
Yep.
like like super strong coffee.
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know. I like
But it's not like, it's super thin. It's not like thick. You're not getting the like the darkness remnants around the glass.
Right,
and
right.
Creaminess.
Yeah.
The creaminess.
Well, there's no lactose or anything.
No,
in
it
here.
doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't like stick to the glass like a motor oil, like what most people say, right?
Yeah.
Viscous is no
Viscous.
Oh,
Yeah,
viscous. There we go.
viscous.
So I thought, okay, so this beer is called Breakfast.
Uh-huh.
What am I going to do with this?
Yeah.
So I thought, let's go all around the world. All right, all around the world, different kinds of breakfasts.
Okay.
What
The
do I
English
do?
breakfast, first of all, is disgusting.
Yeah.
Baked beans on your plate
Yeah.
with breakfast. Get that shit out of here.
Right?
I don't know.
Disgusting.
I've never tried it, so I don't
How
know.
could? Well, first of all, I don't like baked beans.
well,
Asterisks.
there's a problem number one.
But
there.
Yeah.
you're
It's like
eating all
me
that
and-
for breakfast.
For
You
breakfast.
tooting all day, man.
Yeah, it's like
I
me
don't
and the Shamrock or mint and chocolate.
Yeah, or
Yeah,
me and curry, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Brine and mustard, you name it. It's, yeah.
Me and a lot of things. Yes.
Okay, Switzerland. Let's start with Switzerland.
A Swiss breakfast. Let me
Alright.
guess.
Cheese.
Okay.
Swiss steak.
No.
Cheese.
A braided egg. It's called a Zopf. Z-O-P-F.
Yeah.
Zopf.
Okay, that makes sense. And of course, it's going to be like a pastry, right? A braided.
A braided egg bread, similar to a brioche, is the centerpiece of a Swiss
brioche.
breakfast. A Zopf.
Switzerland also home of the Swatch. The Swatch watch.
Swatch watch.
Huh.
Yep. Japan.
Oh, can we guess?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you guess.
All
totally.
right. Japanese breakfast. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Soybeans. Soybeans.
No.
That's not. You're not far off.
Okay.
Think about it.
Like a bean mochi. I don't know.
Fish such as salmon or mackerel.
Okay.
A miso soup. A pickled vegetable and rice.
Who's
All
got
right.
time to make soup for breakfast? I guess they
Okay.
You're gonna find a common theme here with soup and breakfast.
do. Oh my
It
gosh.
happens.
I
a
never
lot.
had soup for breakfast. Have
yeah.
you?
Think about it though. So David Chang, I watch a lot of food TV, right?
Yes.
Yep.
David Chang, one of my favorite chefs, he talks about eating ramen for breakfast and how it is super energizing. And it's honestly just like one of the best things you can do in the morning. Like everybody likes their warm, hot coffee, but why
Sure.
not a warm, hot
Breakfast.
soup or like a sobe? Yeah.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
oatmeal count? Warm, hot oatmeal?
No, I think that's just a paste. Gummy grossness.
He's making a face
I
about
hate,
oatmeal.
I hate
Yeah.
oatmeal. One of the things I tell my wife,
Yeah.
I don't make oatmeal. Sorry.
That's a hard
That's where
no.
he draws the line.
You got to
Wow.
do it yourself. Not
I
doing
ain't
it.
making it.
No. Visually unappealing.
Nolan, here's what I've learned with
It is
marriage over
lumpy.
the years.
Yeah.
I hate cantaloupe.
Yeah.
Hate it. I think it smells like musty basement.
It's gross.
I
yeah.
hate it. My wife loves it. She buys cantaloupes, and I always cut it up for her and make little chunks. And
Yeah.
yep, I'll cut it up for her. But
You're not popping them as you're cutting them?
Nope.
Nah.
No dice.
How about the, what's the green one?
Muskmelon.
Honey- Honeydew.
Yeah, the
Oh,
honeydew.
muskmelon. Oh, yeah.
Muskmelon.
It's the same thing.
It's great, though. It's great.
No, that tastes especially
love
like
it.
musty basement.
No, I honeydew over cantaloupe all day.
Okay.
If you want to lick basement
Mold.
concrete moldy walls
Off the ground, yeah. Get a muskmelon. Pick it up at the farmer's market.
Yeah. Iceland, you're gonna love this one.
Okay.
You want to guess?
Oh,
Got a guess on
I
this?
guarantee it's going to
Fish.
have some sort of fish, some sort of like
Fish.
stewed fish.
Yeah, buried in the snow for a month and
Juniper berries and molasses.
over salt water.
Not nearly as interesting. No, cod liver oil. Cod liver oil.
Okay.
Hope it's in a capsule.
They also have a more palatable morning meal called, oh boy, Hofragrater.
Yep.
Hofragrater.
So-
Which is a thick oatmeal.
So Dolan
Effectively,
says
it's-
no
yeah.
on that.
Top it with nuts, raisins, sugar, or a helping of skyr, S-K-Y-R, a thick yogurt-like cultured dairy product that's actually just fresh cheese.
Oh, okay.
So you put some cheese.
Cheese
on
on
top.
your oatmeal?
I will say there's a thing called baked oats that has more of a like a cakey
yeah.
consistency. It's still like gooey, but it's like a gooey cake. That's good. Yeah.
Singapore.
Singapore.
So we go back to the Asian countries, right?
Okay. Well, this is going to be a
with
soup.
soba with a egg on top.
In these open air food courts, that's always open for business. It's not uncommon to see hungry people scooping bowls of savory curry noodles first thing in the morning. Curry noodles. For a traditional
Curry
breakfast,
strikes back.
kaya toast is a must-have. Kaya.
Okay. Kaya toast.
An unassuming-looking toast sandwich is spread with flavorful kaya, a sweet jam made from coconut milk, eggs, and sometimes pandan leaf for vibrant green colors and flavors.
See that? I would try that one.
I give it a shot.
I would do it.
Yep. Morocco.
A lot of spice. Turmeric. Tons of turmeric. So it's going to be orange in color. I'm going to say it's going to have lamb in it.
And rice.
That's my guess.
Yeah. No, you'd be surprised. Mint tea first. You start the morning with mint tea.
Dolan's out.
So
All
you're
right.
spiced. You're along the right
Okay.
lines,
Yeah.
right? And then harcha. Harcha. Thicker, griddled biscuit-style rounds that have a crispy crust and a dusting of coarse semolina. So like ground up corn, right? Semolina.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
They can be split like English muffins and served with cheese, butter, jam, or honey.
So
Count
basically
me in.
biscuits to
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
All right. I like that.
Yeah.
Australia.
Ooh.
Shrimp on the bobby. Right? I think that's what they have to have
I
in
should
a
know.
big old Foster's.
I have family who lives there, and I should know.
You should know. Actually, it's not that. It's
it's
out
English.
of the ordinary.
Bangers and mash.
Close. No.
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 I
It's
was like, what?
grain bowls. So
Grain
bowls of
bowls.
like grains
yeah,
and
quinoa.
yep.
Okay.
Avocado, other savory toasts.
California?
The Australians call it brekkie.
Brekkie.
They do.
Yep, they do.
Brekkie.
You know what else? They also call ketchup tomato sauce. I'm pretty sure.
They do that, and in New Zealand, they also do that.
Yeah, tomato
Yeah.
sauce.
Yep.
Yeah. So my cousin who moved out there, she actually used to be a recruiter for another company, but she moved out to Australia, found a guy.
Of course. A bloke.
Yep, he was traveling America for like a year. They ended up at a bar together in Denver. It's kind of a cool story. She moved out there. You know, she's living in America her whole life. And then she was talking on the phone with my wife, and she goes, "Yeah, you put a little tomato sauce on it or whatever."
Already, she's adopted.
And she's
Already.
already, yeah. You've seen those videos like 2 weeks in Australia?
Uh-huh, yeah.
It's like 2 months.
Yep. I'm in
Yeah.
the outback with a dingo.
Right.
Oy, oy, oy.
Yep.
Wow.
Finally, let's go with Germany.
Ooh.
Sauerkraut. Sausages. Got to be some sausages.
Yeah, with an egg.
And yeah.
In the land of many worst, it's not surprising that sausage and other meats take a starring role
Hell yeah.
in their Frustruck. Frustuck.
First meal of the day.
Frustruck, yeah. A buffet spread with a variety of sausages, cold cuts, cheese, bread, rolls, including pretzels, as well as fresh fruit, soft-boiled eggs, and condiments such as homemade jam.
See, I think in Willy Wonka, when they go and talk to Augustus Gloop, he's eating that breakfast at the restaurant at that time. He's eating all those things, and he has a big old sausage. I remember that.
You know, one of my favorite things to do the night after we have brats or bangers and mash or something like that.
Okay.
So in the morning, you take the brat, you cut them in half, the hamburger style. Then you cut them in half the hot dog style. So you've got 4 pieces from one brat.
Okay.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you fry those on the griddle, and then you do an egg, and then you do some English
Ooh.
muffins,
Delicious.
and you do cheddar cheese right on the English muffin. Lay down the 2 pieces of the brat.
Yeah.
Put the egg on top. Sandwich.
That sounds good.
That does sound good.
Mayonnaise, mustard. I've even done a jalapeno jam on it one time. That was freaking good.
So here's the issue I run into.
Yeah.
And it's not my issue, it's my wife's issue. She cannot stand the feeling of like flour on her fingers
Oh.
or cornbread meal, like any of that sort of thing.
Okay.
And cornstarch.
We met at a pizza place. We made pizza. We rolled out dough. We use flour every day.
Yeah.
And she can't touch it.
Doesn't like it.
She will not eat an English muffin because it's got that.
It's got the flour on the
She
outside.
can't do it.
It's
She
like
will
a
not.
sensory
Wow.
She has to
thing.
have like a glove or like a napkin. She won't touch it.
Man, I love
So
English muffins.
English muffins, my favorite. I love them.
Yeah.
We never. 26,
Yeah.
almost 27 years.
Yeah.
We've
Okay,
never
guys,
had English muffins.
I'm getting mixed messages. You're saying your wife doesn't like cantaloupe, but you'll cut it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you love English muffins and you give it up?
Yeah, we're in love, man. That's just how it works.
You do
Yeah.
things. You do things.
That's
right?
right.
I mean,
No,
it's just
you
how
Get
it
it back
is.
somewhere else.
You
I get
do.
it.
You
I
do.
get it. I get it.
It's
I
all a
get it.
balancing act. It's all a balancing act.
That's a great segue
Okay.
to what I have.
Do it.
For my research. Geeks.
Geeks.
Yes.
You know about geeks?
I
Well,
played the video game Bully.
There you go.
I was a geek, but
You were a
okay,
geek.
absolutely.
But you weren't this kind of geek.
Okay.
The OG geek. We're talking freak show. We're talking circus.
Oh.
We're talking
okay.
bite the head off a live animal and drink their blood.
That was
Ozzy?
a geek?
That was a geek. That's where we're going today, fellas.
Interesting.
We're going to the circus. So here's the definition. A geek, someone in a freak show who delighted audiences with disgusting feats and tricks. So here's the difference.
Okay.
We got the freak show, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Those people, generally, were born with some sort of defect or abnormality, right?
Sure.
Can't change who we are.
Yep. The horned man, the
The
bearded
elephant
lady.
man. Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah.
We got to make money somehow. We can't go work at the bank.
Yep. Yep.
Looking like this, let's go on the circus.
Yeah.
Flip side, geeks, just regular, you and me, could be anybody.
Yeah.
We chose this profession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We chose to do this. And because of that, they were the lowest rung of the circus or indoor carnival worker.
Wow.
Because you picked it.
Ah.
Problem was, because of that, anybody could do it.
Yeah.
So the job security was iffy. And the other thing with these guys was a lot of them, especially back in the day, were booze hounds. And the promoters would know this, and they would drug the alcohol with like whatever.
Yeah.
Not I'm trying to think of the term of it, but like a little dropper of this stuff in alcohol, like
roofie?
opium almost, like that.
Oh.
And then they would dole out alcohol
Yeah.
at specific times just to keep them addicted, hooked, like on a leash.
Wow.
So they would go into the show,
Yeah.
stand on a stage. There'd be a bunch of chickens running around.
Yeah.
And they would chase around a chicken. They would pump up the show.
Yeah.
They would kind of go into the crowd. They would get real close. So you would kind of feel a little uneasy. Like, what's this guy going to do with this girl? And then at the end of the show, they'd grab up a chicken and bite its head off and drink the blood. Or a snake. Or a spider. Or anything they could really get their hands on. Anything gross.
Weird.
But because of chickens were cheaper, that's usually what they went with.
Sure.
It started out with snakes. But then they were hard to like travel with and
yeah.
do. And you can get a chicken anywhere.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, then you
kind
can,
of
you
what
can
it came
eat it
from.
afterwards too, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
you make chicken sandwich.
Cook
or
it up
whatever.
and feed the
Exactly.
bearded lady.
So the word comes from Geck, which is a German word,
Okay.
and that means fool or simpleton. So somebody that's not that bright, right? And usually you would extrapolate that to be like, okay, well, this guy's biting the head off of something. He's probably
He's a fool.
not a banker. He's just a dude out here living.
Yep.
The stigma of these people, and this is why they're kind of, I don't want to say popular, but they had a resurgence in the 90s because they were nonconformists. They chose
Yeah.
to do this, right? They were outsiders on purpose. People looked at them in a strange way, and you could kind of look back because you looked a lot like those people.
Yeah.
And that was one of the appeals of it was scary because it looked like your neighbor. Whereas like a guy with horns growing out of his head or whatever, or tattoos covering his whole body.
Right.
That's nobody you've ever seen before. But this guy that's biting heads off a frog, that looks like, cousin Bill. Not great.
Yep.
1946, this is when they kind of became popular in the United States. And it's because they were in this book, a best-selling novel. And I wanted to go out on a limb here, Dolan, and say novels are books, stories,
Right.
nonfictions,
Yeah.
right? Because I don't think people read novels too much anymore. But in 1946, this one came out. It was called Nightmare Alley.
That was a show, right?
They just recently did it with Guillermo del
Yes.
Toro. Bradley Cooper was in it. And it's basically about the story of a guy that works for a circus and a sideshow. And you run into some of these geek characters. and you see what they do, and you're kind of grossed out by it. And that's how it kind of got into the national mindset, because everybody was reading this book back in the day. Some of the complaints for these folks. So people actually did this job. This was a real thing.
Okay.
Poor living conditions.
Yeah.
I mean, you're living on a circus train or a carnival, but you're also the lowest rung of that group, right? You have no skill other than biting and drinking.
I think if you go to any modern day carnival fair, even like traveling fair,
Yeah.
you can tell maybe the carnies don't have the best living conditions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what these guys were doing. One of the main complaints for these people was broken teeth or broken jaws, and they would still have to perform.
Yeah.
Because if they didn't, they wouldn't get that alcohol.
You're out,
with the
yeah.
drugs in it.
Yep.
And that was on purpose. Or they would get sick from animals because they were in the same containers as the animals. So you're bedding down next to the goats and the sheep and the whatever the heck's on the train or however you moved around back in the day.
Yeah.
And you'd get those sicknesses.
Yeah.
So they were always sick and just kind of just gross in general.
Never mind, they're just drinking blood of animals too. Weird. Okay.
They were the lowest paid because of the ease of replacement.
Sure.
So it's like, we can get anybody. You don't look like nothing. You're nothing special.
Yeah.
We can train or hire or get somebody hammered on, cocaine drinks.
Yep.
They'll take your job. Has come around, like I said, in the 90s to more popular culture. There was an episode, 1993. Maybe you've seen it. Of Beavis and Butthead. Mm-hmm. They go to the circus. They get kind of tricked, and they have to become conjoined twins, and they become geeks, and they bite the heads off some chickens, just because that's how it works. 1995. There's an episode called Humbug of the X-Files.
I remember this one.
There's a real performer. His name was the Enigma.
Yep.
And he, on the episode, is a guy that's supposed to be the conundrum, which is like a puzzle you can't figure out. Mm-hmm. So there's an episode of that, and that's one of the most popular shows at the time, so everybody's kind of finding out about this thing. And this one I wrote down specifically for you.
Okay.
Marvel Noir.
Okay.
Norman Osborn's henchmen were ex-sideshow performers.
Interesting.
Adrian Toombs.
Adrian Toombs is, give me a second, he's the Vulture?
He's the Vulture.
There we go.
He was an ex-geek.
Really?
And you know what he did? He kind of lost control of his humanity.
Okay.
And his main egregious thing that he did was, instead of shooting Ben Parker, he ate him. He ate him.
Whoa.
He chewed him up and ate him. He ate Ben Parker.
Nice.
Wow.
In that storyline.
Ben was kind of old, so
Yeah.
Probably
chewy
tough.
and
Real tough, like jerky. like human jerky.
Yikes.
But that's the main thing about the geek was, if you were in a circus or a carnival, you didn't want them even with you because it was like so lowbrow.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I'm bending weights or, whatever the heck your specialty is.
He's a lion tamer.
You don't want to be seen with these folks. And it's like the lowest level of entertainment if they're on your group. You're in your circus or your carnival show or whatever.
Yeah.
So they were like just neglected and abused and like drugged.
Yeah.
For just to keep you
working.
around.
Yeah.
And that was the
Interesting.
thing up until like probably the 50s or so.
Yeah.
And then people got a little conscience. They're like, maybe we shouldn't do this to the known alcoholic in town. Opium up his booze and make him eat turtle heads and chickens. So
Yeah.
that's where I went, because I was like, we've done beer.
Wow.
We've done all sorts of stuff.
Of course.
Geeks.
Do you think people would still line up to kind of see that?
For sure.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
In some
Yes.
cases, yes.
We talked about that on the Healthcare Horrors podcast, the other podcast that we do here. And there was a whole story about public hangings.
Oh, yeah.
And we talked about, people are
The whole
still,
town would come.
Yeah.
It was like the entertainment for the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if that were to be a thing today, it would still be the same.
It'd be a viral video, air
Yeah.
quotes. I mean, that's what that would be.
There would be some faux outrage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there would be pockets that would be
Sure.
outraged.
But
Right.
the
or
majority of
whatever.
people would be like, yeah, let's check this
Yeah.
out.
There'd be class action lawsuits against whoever,
So
but
here-
it wouldn't go anywhere.
Here's how geek transforms to where we're at now.
Okay.
This is not research. This is just something I read and kind of remember. But outcasts on the societal edge, kind of on purpose. You know, it's like you're choosing maybe now it's technology, I guess, computers or whatever, and you're proficient in that, and you show it off. And that's how that, because in the 80s that was a big thing. You didn't want to be a geek, right?
No.
And now people have like claimed that, especially with Marvel being huge and stuff. Now it's like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
But when we were growing up, it was like you don't want to be called that. Those were fighting terms.
I remember the first day I was in high school. This would have been '89, so I was a sophomore in high school. It was the first time I wore my Batman shirt to school.
Well, after the movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And man, that was the epitome of counterculture at that point.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you were not a fan of comic books and anime and stuff like that.
Not
and now
out
it's
and loud, no.
No. Now it's mainstream.
Yeah, it is.
I had to tell the other day I was talking to Oscar about we were watching some of the older Nolan Batman movies.
Yeah.
And I was talking about like, well, we didn't have our first Batman movie until like 89.
Yeah.
And there was, because he was talking about his toys. He has just action figures everywhere, superheroes. I was like, you didn't have those.
No.
It was He-Man and G.I. Joe and Transformers. And there was no Batman toys and Spider-Man and all that stuff like is everywhere now. Everywhere you go, that's what you see. And that was the main reason, I think.
There were superpowers figures, but they weren't nearly as accepted. They existed for that subset.
Yeah.
We had them.
I
had
guess
them.
What was it, I guess I had, because it kind of came on a carded thing, didn't it?
Yeah.
I remember seeing like Aquaman, I think.
Some of the superpowers.
Yeah. So, I don't know, but that's where I went today.
I tend to identify with that a little bit. Probably.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think all of us in our own way kind of
But not the head biting off stuff.
No.
Well, Ozzy has something to say about that.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, he says he didn't know it was real. That's what he says now.
Yeah.
And maybe that's his old age. Maybe that's him.
How do you not know? I don't know.
Exactly.
Wasn't there a concert where they threw like a live chicken up on the stage from the crowd?
I don't
like
know.
a famous one.
I don't know.
Man, like Altamont. I don't know. I'll have to
They
look it up.
freaked out because they killed it or something?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like a late 60s, 70s sort of rock show.
You can't do that now.
No, I think there'd be some complaints.
Yeah.
There'd be some TikTok videos.
Animal cruelty is a huge thing.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
TripAdvisor.
Okay.
So I went to the actual Denmark location.
War Pigs, Copenhagen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And because I looked at the San Diego one, people loved it.
Yeah.
I didn't want any
You're
of that.
Nah,
No,
too nice.
I didn't want any of that at all. So here we go. We had a full-on. Remember a couple weeks ago when we did the baseball episode?
Yeah.
Remember what a rhubarb was?
Oh, yeah.
A little scuffle.
Uh-huh.
We have full-on rhubarb happening here.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Old Egan D of Dublin, Ireland.
Oh, he's out of his element.
Egan D.
Egan D.
More like Deegan
Maybe.
from what's the show?
Deegan.
It was like your favorite show forever, the zombie show.
The Walking Dead?
The Walking Dead.
Negan.
Negan.
This
Okay,
is
sorry,
Egan.
my bad. I
Pretty
never
close.
watched The Walking Dead.
Pretty
so.
close. There we go. The title was Nice Try, but Poor Service.
Oh, boy.
Here
Another
we go.
service-related one.
Strap in. This one's going to be fun.
Okay.
My girlfriend and I came here on a recent trip to Copenhagen, as I'm a fan of their gluten-free beers. These are first strike right
Strike one.
Yep.
Glutenite.
there. Yep. My girlfriend asked for a Creek, K-R-E-I-K,
Yeah.
right?
It's cherry sour.
A cherry sour, right. And the barman gave her something called the Duchess de Bourgogne.
Yeah.
The Duchess.
The Duchess. I have some of those at my house
Absolutely.
right now.
We've
There's
had
much-
the Duchess.
This is like the super sour
Uh-huh.
Battery acid.
Like
Yeah.
you
Yes.
sip it. Okay.
Yep, absolutely. As soon as she poured it, it became obvious that it wasn't actually a Creek.
Yeah.
She tried a sip and said it really wasn't to her liking, so she brought it up and said it wasn't a Creek, but the barman insisted and said it was a Creek. I decided to look it up and found that no, it definitely was not a Creek.
Oh, boy.
See where this is going?
Uh-huh.
But when I talked to the barman, he stared at me and said, yes, it's a Creek. Even though when I tried to show him the beers on the webpage, where it's described as a Flanders Red Ale, there's no mention of the word Creek or cherries.
That's true.
Just saying to me, it's a Creek. Eventually, I got into an exchange with him
Uh-oh.
about the Creek. but it was his behavior that made us both so uncomfortable that we left without finishing it. It's a shame. He was so unpleasant, and otherwise, we liked the bar and the atmosphere, and I personally really enjoyed my beer. I'd have loved, with quotation marks,
here we are,
to give this a 5-star review, but I simply couldn't. He did not know what a creek was. There you go.
I mean, he's got some points, but
just the back and forth.
Yeah, not enough to fight about. They do have a chocolate and cherry version of the Duchess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's out. You can buy it now. It's usually around Valentine's Day.
I'd try that.
It's pretty good. I got my wife some last year for Valentine's Day.
So is the
Duchess is her favorite beer.
Is the Duchess more sour or less sour than the Goose that we had
More.
a couple weeks ago?
More. Oh, yeah.
More sour than that?
Oh, yeah.
Because I thought that was sour.
Yeah, the Duchess is like, it's a pucker up.
It is straight acid.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll
It's
have to
one of
try
those,
it.
you don't want to let it warm up.
No.
You got to drink it
Okay.
cold. At least for me, I have to drink it cold.
Okay.
Like, if it gets warm up, it gets more biley. If that makes any sense.
does,
It's
it
like
does.
stomach acid sort of taste.
I stumbled onto it at a pizza place one time, and I thought, oh, you got a sour on, or whatever.
It's
and it
sour.
was sour.
It is the
Oh, boy.
sour.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for to this day. That's like a Christmas or any sort of like special occasion. I'll buy my wife a bomber. They sell it now in 4-packs, which is nice. But
The little small bottles.
that's like her favorite sour beer, and it is sour. But it is a Flanders. He's right
Yeah,
about that.
That's true.
But the chocolate cherry version, maybe you could bend the rules and say that's a creek
You could.
because it's got cherries.
Yeah. Untapped. 78,800 check-ins for this beer. This beer's been around, obviously,
Dang.
for, 2006, right?
I checked into it. I think
One time, yes, you have.
was it years ago or recently?
You know what? Let's go back and check the Untapped here.
Because like my Untapped now is over 10 years old.
You said how many check-ins you said?
22,000.
78,000.
78,000.
That's a lot more than
78,000.
You know what? Well, as you look for that, I'm gonna think about this. It is okay. So it's a winner of a international stout,
Yes,
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
but you got to think about this. International is different than American style. Because
Right.
American styles are
Right.
thicker and adjuncty.
I think it has that flavor that like beer geeks are gonna be like, oh, okay. I've never had this is
Yeah.
smoky, kind of dark. So I think it's gonna be a little higher than what I would rate it.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be like a 3.92.
Okay. I'm going to say 376.
388.
That's
Wow.
pretty good.
Right in between.
That's right where I go. I'll
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
4 on this one.
You have not checked this beer in
Oh,
at
I
all.
thought I
no.
had.
Friend of the show, Justin, has checked it in. And
Cool.
Bizandabeer. I don't know. That's his username. Don't know.
Bizanda beer.
He's a friend of mine on Untapped. I have no
There
idea.
we go.
So there you go. So
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if the styles. I don't know if this beer. Sorry, not the style, but this beer is my favorite.
So it's a coffee stout. What was off-putting? What was the reason you didn't
smokiness.
like it?
It was the
smokiness?
smokiness.
It just
Yeah.
reminded me of an ashtray, man, and I just don't. I'm not into that.
You ever had coffee made over a campfire?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did it taste like that?
A little bit. A little smokiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never actually had that.
They nailed the flavor, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if that's what you're going for, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
I liked it too. That was good.
We have gotten to the point in our schedule where I don't know what's next. I know we've got some.
I hardly ever know. So.
I'd have to. We have a chat between us, and I'd have to go back and look.
Figure out where we're going.
Yeah.
Either
if-
way, it's going to be beer. We know that.
Well, no, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you have, and I'll put this out there again, if you've had a beer or you know of a beer that we should talk about, or you could get to us in some way, either give to Dolan on a meet and greet, drop by the office, whatever you want.
Yeah.
We would be happy to
Yeah.
drink it here on the show and talk about it, especially on an early Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. when
Sure.
Yeah.
we normally record these.
Yep.
So it's a good way to start the day.
It's a great. It's like the best way. I know people that do this and don't even have a podcast. So I mean, to do this and have it something come out of it, pretty good.
Absolutely.
So we're drinking productively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
This is
Okay.
on the schedule.
We got paid for this.
Yes, we chose to do this today.
Absolutely.
Like the gals on Healthcare Horrors. It's their day job.
That's right.
Exactly.
This is our day
Perfect.
job now.
Yep. So send those beers our way, or just let us know. We might be able to get them. Like, hey, have you ever
Yeah.
tried this one?
Yeah, let us know. We can look into it.
We've got connections. We could probably find it. So until then, we're not going anywhere for a while.
Let's have another beer.
Thank you for listening to A Beer with Atlas. Special thanks to our brand team for producing the show. Each episode of A Beer with Atlas is powered by Atlas MedStaff, an industry leader in travel healthcare staffing.